Hello, Divas. Happy Sunday. Mini quickie coaching video on this supine floating side flexion pose. Yeah, I'm going to love it. I'm going to share my screen first to show you the picture of our spinal column. As we all know, our spinal column is very important, right? Because it's the structure that holds our body up. And besides that, it is also connected to our nervous system because, you know, the spinal fluid, the spinal cord that goes through it contains a lot of nerves and fluids, and it's directly connected to our brain. So if if we do a X-ray into our body, the brain is literally connected to the spinal column. Okay, and then our vertebrae is the spine vertebrae is the series is they call it a process. It's like a series of bones that protect this very delicate tissue. So we really want to maintain our spine column in the tip-top condition, the best condition possible as we age in order to mature gracefully. So roughly it can be divided into three parts: cervical spine, the top part here, which is what you see here as the cervical curve, then the thoracic spine, which is behind the rib cage, and then our lumbar spine, which is like the lowest bottom of the spine. And then you see right at the bottom, there is this word called sacrum. The sacrum is like the sitting bone area. It's connected to the lumbar spine. So you can see that our spine is divided into three parts, right? The lower, the middle, and then the upper. So if you think about it on a day-to-day basis, what kind of position are we in actually? We are vertical, right? We're always in this position. So we have this thing called gravity. We're subject to gravity day in, day out, right? When we are standing, sitting, moving, walking, we're always subjected to gravity. And so think about it, because of this constant pressure that is stacking onto the spine, which is the guy that's taking the most pressure? So you probably know the answer. The lumbar spine, right? The lumbar spine is taking the weight of the other two guys, the thoracic spine, as well as the cervical spine, the top part, right? So over time, if we do not actively work on decompression, building up core strength, training the body to move, walk, sit, stand, twist, rotate in the right way, we risk this thing called compression, and the space between the vertebrae becomes more restricted. So it becomes more crowded, right? And the spinal fluid is not able to flow smoothly. And usually when this happens, the experts call it degeneration. Okay, now we really do not want our spinal column to degenerate. We really do not want that. And it can be prevented. It can even be reversed with the right actions, as we have proven so many times with our women clients. So some of the problems that may result, from compressed spinal column would be pinching at the lower back. It can cause commonly back pain, that's called sciatica pain. It can also create misalignment in the hips because it's always pressing on one side. Misalignment in the hips usually will result in knee pain in a matter of 2, 5, or 10 years. So really not a good thing to it's really not a good place we want to be in. And the other thing about having a decompressed thoracic spine is that the thoracic spine is connected to our rib cage. Our rib cage holds our heart and our lungs. So if the rib cage is narrow, or rather is short, then the heart and the lungs, they don't have a lot of space, right? They are also constricted and they cannot function properly. So after usually practicing this pose that I'm going to teach you, you will find that not only you stand taller, you also breathe better, right? Those of you who are doing this pose as how I've taught you. You will notice each time you do this, after that, you feel very happy. And that's the reason. The reason for that is because you can breathe better. Your cervical spine is a lot more decompressed. The blood can flow better. Oxygen is going upwards and it nourishes the brain. And this part is our like master control center. This is where we have our brain. This area controls our memory, our cognitive functions, how we process information from external environment, our senses, sight, see, smell, so on and so forth. And also something important to us ladies, how radiant you look, okay? So when the blood flow is constricted on the cervical spine area, the mind, not only the brain doesn't get its required nutrients and the oxygen, we also tend to age faster because the skin is not getting the nourishment. The skin on the face is not getting the nourishment, okay? So that's why we can age very, very slowly with this Radiant Flourishing Method program, very slowly. So now are you ready? I'm going to take you to look at this supine stretch on water. That is really fun and very happy to do, very enjoyable. Let me just fish out the video. So I'm going to give you two options. The first option is for those of you who are going to your own pools to practice, either at your home or you're going to the club to practice, and hopefully your pool has a latch. Okay, so I'm going to just break down for you the first option that you can do against the latch. The other option is where there is no latch, as in the case of our Danyan Road warm pool. So in that case, what do you do when there's no latch? There's another way to practice, which I will roughly describe again. So as you can see in this video, there is a latch in this pool. So the first option is you can just place your heels on the deck, okay, like what you see in the video here. And then you have one noodle underneath your arms, okay? So, and then you are going to stretch yourself out and you're going to balance and make yourself straight on the water. And then what you do is take your arms up and then you do a side flexion. Okay, so you can see that I adjusted the position of my feet a little bit to give me more leverage, to give me more control, so that I can go deeper into the stretching of my entire spine, into the decompression of my entire spine, right? So the closer your feet are to each other, the less control you will have, okay? And the further your feet is away, or the less of your feet on the ledge, the less control you will have. As in the less, the more buoyant you will be, okay? So water has buoyancy. Buoyancy is the upward thrust motion, the force that's pushing the body up. So in this supine position on water, the game is changed, because remember, when we are on land, we're always stacking, right? The poor lumbar spine is taking the weight of the thoracic spine as well as the cervical spine. So the lumbar spine is one of the hardest. You know, the poor guy is always taking a lot of pressure. But when we get into the water in this supine position, the force on all three parts of your spine from the physics point of view is equal. Can you see what I mean? That means when you do your stretching, when you do this movement practice coordinated with the breathing, okay, what happens is that all three parts of your spine, the lower spine, the middle spine, and the upper spine, the lumbar, thoracic, and the cervical spine, these three parts, they have an equal force of decompression. And so you don't need to do a lot of this. You don't need to stay in this to get a lot of benefits. You don't need to do this pose for a very long time. So from the physics point of view, you have an upward motion and a sideways lateral motion, because when you're stretching, okay, and then you have the feet on the ledge, there is a movement, there's an outwards. Can you see there's a lateral movement of energy, and there is an upward movement coming up pressing upwards onto your back, pushing your back upwards, pushing the spine upwards, okay? And what this means is that we get to decompress our spine like, oh my God, like big time. Like no other practice on earth allows us this amount of decompression, okay? So if you're doing it in your condo pool or your club pool or the nearest, association pool near to you, or a complex pool near, one of the pool in the nearest sports complex, then you want to find a ledge like this, and you can do it by yourself. Just bear in mind that if you use one noodle, the water is going to get into your ears, which is fine for me, but for some of you, if you don't like that feeling, then you can use earplugs, okay? Personally, I feel that the temporary cessation of the hearing sense is very calming, and it helps to refocus and recenter the brain. So then now I'm going to show you the other option with two noodles. So after I'm done with this, and also for the breathing, when you are in flexion, you exhale. When you come back to the center, you inhale. Then when you side flexion again, you exhale. Okay, so inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay. So now you see I'm doing it with two noodles now. So with two noodles, do we have more or less buoyancy? Right? The answer is that we have more buoyancy, because now besides the water pushing up, now we have two noodles pushing the body up, right? Earlier it was just water pushing up and one noodle pushing the body up. Now we have water pushing up as well as two noodles helping to thrust the body upwards. So in this version, the water tend not to get into the ear as much as the earlier version, okay? Because now you have a support under the neck. So the water kind of like, just like maybe drip, just like come up to the ears, but they don't really cover the ears. So, and the principle is the same. You spread yourself out, and then as you exhale, you flex to the side. Okay, and here you see that I'm holding the pose in K breath. This is the deepening version to practice. Okay, and then I'm holding for K breath, and then I'm holding for a couple of deep breaths. And then after that, I switch to the other side. And then I do a few rounds of alternate movement. Inhale, inhale, stretch the arms, exhale, side flexion, inhale, stretch the arms, and then exhale, side flexion. So, and you see that I'm moving my feet closer to challenge myself, but I lost my balance, right? And so I'm adjusting myself constantly because I want to deepen the decompression of my entire spine. So now this is the other version of doing it, where I slide my legs closer inwards to the ledge. So now I have more of my legs, right? More of my legs. Now I am like resting my calves, okay, up to my calves on the ledge. So I have a lot more stability, right? Because less of my water is on the water. So that would give a more controlled stretch, but not quite so deep. Okay, so, but you want to be able to find a spot where you can practice your stretches without having to keep scrambling for control, for balance. You get what I mean? Because if you're always constantly trying to find your balance because you're slipping off, then you can't really assess the deep stretch. So find a balance. You want to find a point whereby you are still stable enough and you can enjoy the side stretches, okay? And you can enjoy that nice opening of the entire spine. Does it make sense? So now, for those of you who are practicing in Dunyan Road pool, or if let's say your pool doesn't have any ledge, then what we do is we do entirely freestyle. What I call it is freestyle, meaning it's free of any anchors. There's nothing to hold you stationary. So the most frequent one is where we have one noodle under our ankles and one noodle under our arms, right? And then the head is in the water more. The water is up to the ears. And then let me stop share first. And then we just do our stretches, same breathing mechanism. Inhale to the center, exhale, side flexion, inhale, and exhale, side flexion. And if there is no anchor, what happens is that we will float, right? We'll float, and that's fine, okay? Just make sure you don't bang into the wall, and be understanding and be courteous. If your classmates sort of like float into your space, then you just want to wait yourself away, okay? What is the difference between practicing on the ledge and practicing without the ledge? With the ledge is a little bit easier, okay? Without the ledge, you need a bit more core strength, and also for women who are a little bit afraid of water, then it's better to practice with an anchor, with something to hold the feet stationary on, okay? So I hope this is useful to you all, and please go ahead and practice this, whether you are doing this at your club or your condo, okay? I encourage you to quickly go and get at least practice one time in the coming week. And for those of you in Singapore, in my Danyan Root group, next Thursday on the 16th, it's optional, it's not compulsory. After our 1 hour practice, I'll get into the water to help some of you to attempt this, for those of you who wants to, okay? It's totally optional, not compulsory. If you're still dealing with lower body issues like knees and hip pain, then I suggest that you do not attempt this first. Let's solve the knee and the feet problem first, okay? If you have both the problem with legs and hips or lower back and spine and neck at the same time, then we always go from the bottom up. We solve the problems at the bottom first. More important, it's easier that way, because then the body can transform more easily, rather than fixing the neck first and then we go to the feet, right? It doesn't quite work well that way. So we use our legs all the time. So we always want to solve the problem from the root, from the bottom of the body, from the lower part of the body. And those of you who are willing to and ready to try and want to have fun with it, then I will be in the pool to support those of you to do a short little decompression practice. And you're going to feel a lot different after that. Okay, so if you're watching the replay, let me know if you like this, and love bomb me as usual. And let me know if you like the video, whether it's useful to you. And as usual, if you've got any questions, just reach out, just comment, okay? Sending you lots of love for the Sunday. Happy, happy day, okay? And a little homework. Little homework. If you still remember, hang on. Remember the song? So all your homework today, play this song and go dance in the shower, okay? Bye-bye.
If you want to find out more, come join me at my free webinar. I will show you simple activities that you can do right away to resolve joint pain, and not only that, you will learn how to regain your strength and mobility too. I would really love for you to join. So simply click on the link around this video, get yourself registered, and I will see you really soon.
Sleep, sexy, strong.